Ooh. Hey friends, how's it going? Ash here, welcome back to Gents. Today we're talking about just disappointments, failures. Yeah, some of the biggest failures of all time, at least according to AI. So what I did is I asked ChatGPT, hey, I know that you're our future robot overlords, you know, Skynet, you're gonna terminate us in the future.
I've been waiting for you.
But for now, can you pretend that you are a fragrance aficionado and give me what you think are the 10 biggest disappointments, the biggest failures, biggest flops of highly anticipated releases? Can you give me what those are? And it did. So that's what we're doing today. 10 of the biggest failures. And I'm also gonna give my opinion because I think that some of these are spicy choices I'm not sure I agree with. But you can play along and see if you do agree with ChatGPT or if you think it crapped the bed here. I'll tell you personally, I don't know if I agree, which means they're not gonna spare me when the reckoning comes. So I'll have these linked in the description below. You know the drill, pause the video now if you'd like some codes, a bunch of different codes to save you a bunch of money at a bunch of different websites, bunch of. You hear that? That's judgment coming for you all. Yeah. Now, I did not ask ChatGPT to make any corrections or anything like that. I rolled with what it gave me, but I did give it one single stipulation, which was don't give me fragrances that have been discontinued for like 2 decades or something. Make sure it's something that people will at least be aware of. So that was the stipulation. All right, first fragrance is Light Blue Sun from Dolce & Gabbana. This is what was said about this fragrance. The light blue line is generally well regarded, but the Sun edition has received mixed reviews. Some critics and users have found it too sweet and lacking the aquatic freshness that made the original light blue a hit. Do you agree with that? I will say that Light Blue Sun is not my favorite of the light blue flankers. That's gonna be Forever and Italian Love. I actually like the new flanker, Summer Vibes, more than this one. I like Intense more than this one. So I'm not a massive Sun fan, but I do think Light Blue Sun is better than Light Blue Italian Zest was that came right before it. And for what it's worth, this does have kind of a tropical sweetness to it. I know it alludes to the sweetness, that it was too sweet, but I think the tropical sweetness in here, you know, it's kind of an interesting little twist to the light blue line. So do I think that Light Blue Sun is one of the 10 worst flops or failures or disappointments of all time? Nah, it's not that bad, man. Like I said, Italian Zest is worse than this. But you know, this is what it says. There you go. There's where we're starting. And truth be told, I think this is one of the worst fragrances in this list. So, the next massive failure, just so bad. So bad that it's still a top-selling fragrance in the United States. Last year, it was a top 20 bestseller. But oh man, it's gotta be just one of the worst, I guess. Guilty from Gucci. Despite the hype, they say, many found it to be quite generic and lacking in longevity. The fragrance was also criticized for not standing out amongst the many other aquatic citrus scents on the market. Despite the hype. What? So this one was lambasted when it came out. A lot of people did not like it, and still to this day, a lot of people in the community will say that it's crapola. I don't think it's actually that bad. I mean, for what it's made to do. It's clean, it's fresh, it's soapy to an extent. And for a casual, you know, spring summer fragrance that you can easily wear to work or to even more dressy occasions or to a date, I think it's pretty good. I will admit that when this came out, I was swept up in the hate wave, and I was like, yeah, man, Guilty sucks, dude. They said that it sucks, so now I think it sucks. Yeah, that was me. Yeah. Ashamed to admit. But as time has gone on, I like it. It's a simple, easy little wear, you know? It's fine. You're okay, bud. After this one, we have a fragrance from a massive line of scents, and yet not the most massive in this list. Yeah, it's Versace Eros Flame, one of the 10 worst failures of all time. Okay. Following the success of Versace Eros, expectations were high for Eros Flame. That's true. However, it was often critiqued for its confusion of notes, making it less desirable than its predecessor. Now, if we're talking sales numbers, that's true. The original Eros outsells Eros Flame. That being said, obviously, we're not talking sales numbers with this list because Guilty is in it. And like I said, last year, this was one of the best selling fragrances in the US in the top 20. And if memory serves, I think it was even in the top 10 or pretty close to it anyway. So sales obviously don't have anything to do with the criteria that was used. Now, Eros Flame, when it first came out, I was wishy-washy on. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. It did grow on me over time though, and I think it's a very nice scent. The Kinoto in there gives it an interesting twist versus the original Eros. It's not quite as sugary sweet as the original is. Still has a nice freshness to it, and it does have enough sweetness that it will definitely still pull attention and compliments. Good performance too. So Eros Flame, yeah, the top 10 worst. Ah, come on. Yeah, let me know how you feel the chat GPT did on this one. Yeah, let me know, because I'm not sure. After this, we got an Abercrombie and Fitch fragrance. It is First Instinct Together. Now, this one, I would say out of the ones so far, maybe you could label this a disappointment. One of the biggest ever? Nah. But could you label it a disappointment? Yeah, probably. I'd say Abercrombie probably does. First Instinct is a line that was never like massive, but it did have a following, a good amount of people who said, yeah, that's a solid, cheap pickup from discounters, which is not always what fragrance brands want to hear. Yeah, it's really good as long as you pick it up for like 1/4 of the retail price. Pretty sure nobody, overtop these companies heard someone say that and was like, oh yeah, sweet. Yeah. Dang it. Pay retail, please. I don't think it's a bad scent. I actually don't think this is a bad fragrance at all. It's kind of similar to Invictus Aqua. It's sweet, it's fresh, it's pretty well done, all things considered. You can pick it up at discounters for like 30 bucks. There ain't nothing wrong with this, okay? But here is what they say. While the First Instinct line has its fans, so kind of sound like me there. The Together edition has been critiqued for its synthetic smelling sweetness and lack of originality. Yeah, when you put it that way. Synthetic sweetness? Check. Lack of originality? Check. It smells good though and is not very expensive? Check. Now this next one I can't get behind. I can't get behind this choice. It's Azzaro Wanted by Night. What? You had Azzaro Wanted right there. Just a layup, just right there. The original Azzaro Wanted comes out in this new, intriguing, interesting, some would say tacky, bottle design. A whole new line from Azzaro, kicking off something brand new, so people are gonna be interested by that. And what do? They serve up Azzaro's version of Invictus. So a lot of people are like, oh, what is this crap? Azzaro, what are you doing? So you had Azzaro Wanted right there. Wanted by Night is pretty interesting. It's unique smelling. It's got great bang for buck, good performance. It's classy, it's masculine, it's spicy, it's got a lot going for it. It's a good fragrance. Actually, I would say a very, very good fragrance, especially when you can get it for like 30 bucks. That was pretty sick. But this is what they say. While not a bad fragrance by any means, fair enough, it was often compared unfavorably to the original Azzaro Wanted due to its overly sweet and less complex profile. What? Which one of you out there did that? There's one of you out there who put something on the internet and was like, look guys, I'm gonna tell you something. Wanted by Night's okay, but I gotta tell you something, it's a little bit overly sweet. It is less complex than the original Wanted, which is far superior in my opinion. And this AI just like combed through, somehow latched onto that one comment and was like, okay, well, that must be the case. Who did that? And are you watching this video? I blame you. None of that even sounds true to me. It's like, this is make-believe. What are you talking about? This is less complex and more sweet than the original Wanted. No, you're losing me, Smalls. Next up, Dior Sauvage, Eau de Parfum, failure. Oh, you're such a failure. Christian Dior is like, can I get some more failures like this, please? I will take some. Actually, every fragrance brand on earth is like, I'll take that failure. Thank you. I'm such a failure. It's so terrible. As I wipe my tears with $100 bills. So they say, while Sauvage Eau de Parfum has its fans, they like to start it that way. While this fragrance has its fans, that fragrance has its fans. While Sauvage Eau de Parfum has its fans, many felt that it was a missed opportunity to address the criticisms of the original, such as the overbearing ambroxan note, and that it lacked originality. Well, like I get it, but at the same time, if you're Christian Dior and you just came out with Sauvage, which skyrockets to being the #1 selling fragrance on the planet for men, which it still is. Like last year, Sauvage was still the #1 best-selling fragrance for men. If you come out with that and you're making that kind of dough, then I'm pretty sure you're not sitting there going, I'll tell you what guys, we do have the #1 selling fragrance in America, making hundreds of millions of dollars. But there's just something about this ambroxan note. I feel like we need to scrap it. Everyone's gonna go, nah dude, it's good. You've got you're #1. You're the best right now. You're making the most money. That's what you want, right? So yes, while they did not address the ambroxan, I think the fragrance's success speaks for itself as far as that goes. And the eau de parfum does what you would expect an eau de parfum flanker to do. It takes that existing DNA, it doesn't scrap it, it just tweaks it and changes it, makes it a little bit more mature, a little smoother. That's what you got. One of the worst failures ever? I don't think so. I don't know that any of these are like true, like disgusting failures, but we'll keep going. You're on my team here, right? You're not team ChatGPT here? All right, next up, Prada L'Homme Water Splash. They say of this, some critics have described this fragrance as overly diluted and lacking the unique iris note that made the original Prada L'Homme stand out. What are all these flowers on the bottle? These aren't supposed to be iris, are they? That'd be weird because there's no iris in the fragrance. Lacking the unique iris note. Yeah, weird. I guess I'll spray it and what does that smell? What is that floral kind of? What is that? Oh, that's weird. What is it? Ah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to look this one up online and make sure there's no iris in here. Neroli, mandarin leaf, cardamom. Iris? What? Interesting. Yeah, there's iris in here. We both knew that, but really for me, if you're gonna say something bad about this one, it's gonna be that it's too similar to Prada L'Homme Low and that it's kind of redundant with that release. Diluted. Sure, it's not a super strong fragrance, but they do give you a larger bottle size. I don't think this is really a big success, so I could see this one being a failure overall. One of the biggest ever, nah, but yeah, I could see this one kind of being a disappointment for a lot of people. Okay, now this next one, maybe this next one counts, yeah. Maybe this next one is one I agree with. It's Mr. Burberry. Mr. Burberry. So I think out of everything so far, this one could be a top 10 biggest failure because the hype behind this. Like if you just got into fragrances, you're not gonna really be aware, but when this was announced, little ribbon having Mr. Burberry with Francis Kurkdjian behind it, you know, a brand new line, a new blue fragrance line, going to battle against Sauvage, against Bleu de Chanel. There was a bunch of hype. And when it came out, it flopped. Yeah, it crapped out. Just didn't do well. And then you had flankers come out after it and none of the flankers really took off. So yeah, this one I think is a failure, a disappointment, a big disappointment at the minimum. So they say, despite the brand's reputation, this fragrance received mixed reviews for its lack of longevity and sillage. I mean, that wasn't the only thing that people didn't enjoy. It was not attention grabbing enough for a lot of people. It didn't have that opening that really just, made people pay attention to it. Maybe a little too aromatic for some people, but it just didn't work. Now we have the only niche fragrance in this list. It is Creed Himalaya. This is random. Could have gone Viking, which I don't think it's a failure, but I think for a lot of people, it didn't reach the levels of hype that it had before it came out. You could go Viking cologne, Aventus cologne. I mean, a few different creeds you could go with, but Himalaya. Random. Coming from a brand known for its high-end fragrances, some felt this fragrance lacked complexity and wasn't up to Creed's usual standards. Ouch. It smells like Paco Rabanne XS. So yeah, a higher quality XS, but that's pretty much what it smells like. I'll tell you though, Himalaya is kind of a guilty pleasure of mine. It's fairly simple smelling, really clean, metallic, musky, and soapy. I like it a lot, but I understand where some people would be disappointed by this because it doesn't have that immediately kick you in the face kind of like, whoa, what is that? What are you wearing? Kind of opening. It's just this subtle little thing that I like. Last but not least, Calvin Klein CK1 Shock, which is kind of weird. I feel personally insulted and assaulted. I did a review of CK1 Shock not very long ago. I actually put it on a list of mine where I was like, this is a fragrance you gotta check out. And the friggin' ChatGPT GPT over here is like, oh, that's literally one of the 10 worst friggin' releases of all time. What? Some critics feel that the fragrance doesn't live up to the reputation, what reputation? Of the CK1 line, describing it as too synthetic and lacking in complexity. What are you talking about? The reputation of the CK1 line, because we all know CK1 is known to be super natural, doesn't smell synthetic at all, and very complex fragrances. Ugh. This one just makes no sense. I feel like they were phoning it in at this point. It's like, dude, what are you? Yes, the original CK1, huge release. Modern masterpiece, some people might say. It's clean, it's fresh, it's soapy, it's great for anybody to wear. Well, I guess, when it first came out anyway. The first CK1, sure, modern masterpiece, if you want to call it that, made a lot of money for Calvin Klein. But can we be real here for a second? CK1 fragrances, they are solid for the price you can get them for. Nobody buys a CK1 and goes like, dude, I just paid $100 for this new, very complex, natural smelling fragrance. No, that's not what they're made for. They're not supposed to be that. And that's fine. That's totally good because you need fragrances like that. They smell pleasant, typically, easy to wear, simple things you can get your head around. You can just spray them on and go and feel good about it. But come on, CK1 Shock is one of the worst ever because it lacks complexity and is too synthetic for the CK1 line. So there we go, a real murderer's row of the 10 worst, biggest failures of all time. I think that ChatGPT is not good at making lists. It would appear. Yeah, let me know what you think here. Thank you for hanging with me. Stay safe out there. Maybe I'll try to do this list myself. Maybe Burberry will be on it, but none of the others. Stay safe out there, guys. I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you later.